Hello and
Okay.
welcome to another episode of Anomalies. This is a program about life's mysteries and the strange twists and turns that you find in modern day life. And we've got a very strange twist and turn today. My guest is Lee Hampel. He lives in Wisconsin, and he's got some very weird stuff going on his property, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So um, just a reminder to somebody watching this video, please like and subscribe to this channel, our YouTube channel, because that helps with our numbers. So Lee, welcome to Anomalies. How
Well,
are you?
thank thank you for having me. I'm very good, and thank you for having me, and looking forward to the conversation.
Sure, as am I. So tell our listeners a little bit about your background. As I recall, you were a teacher, you're a retired teacher.
Uh, yes, I was a high school math, computer science teacher for 35 years at Wakanda High School. I actually do live in Wakanda, Illinois. It's just 20 miles from the border of Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, by Elkhorn, Wisconsin, I have a 35-acre farm that I bale hay, make hay on, and bale hay on. I retired teacher. I retired in 2000, and I was just a math teacher. And my wife and I, in the early 90s, we started a horse boarding operation and a horse training operation. And I always was looking for places to bale hay. And the farm in Wisconsin was purchased in 2007 by Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and that was principally to bale hay for our horses. And now we have um, we've branched out from that. We have cows and goats and sheep and some horses and so I still bale hay at my farm in Elkhorn, which is actually 30 miles from my house here. But yeah, high school math teacher, I'm retired, and I was going to live a normal life, and uh, somebody said, "Hold my beer, because watch what I'm going to give you." So it was
Yeah.
presented to me and my farm, and uh, yeah,
So as I recall, I've
I didn't
listened
have
to
any interest in the paranormal.
right. I've listened to a couple other interviews that you've given. So it seems like to me that you asked a
Yeah,
couple guys to help you bale some hay, and they told you about some strange creature that was running around on your property, and that kind of started the whole thing. Correct?
the what run around on my property?
Some strange creature.
What started the whole thing was, I mean, I purchased the property 2007, and I did not start farming there. I was farming at my mother's, bless her soul. She passed away in 2010. So I moved my operation up to Elkhorn, Wisconsin in 2011. Nobody said anything to me about the Beast of Bray Road or about a dog man that
Hmm.
was in the area or especially on my property until 2013. And then 2013, two of my neighbors were helping me bale hay because it was the Bears were playing the Packers and I couldn't get any help. These guys said, "Yeah, we'll help you." And after we finished loading 600 bales of hay, the one gentleman farmer said to me, he said, we were standing at the end of the bar and they were having their beers, and we're in Wisconsin, and he said, "Lee, the werewolf lives back on your property." And I go, "What? What
Yeah.
are you
What
talking
was
about?"
your
That was
reaction to
September
that?
2013.
Uh-huh. So what did you think when that guy said you had a werewolf on your property? Did you think he was crazy?
When he said the werewolf back on my property,
Yeah.
I told him his eyes were brown because I told him his eyes were brown because he's so full of it. I go, "What are
Yeah.
you talking about?" And I started doing. He said the one farmer I knew saw it on Bray Road and was eating a raccoon. So I found a raccoon on Bowers Road, which is right next to Bray Road. My farm is a quarter mile from Bray Road. It's actually on Bowers Road, but it's right next to Bray Road. And I found this raccoon. I put it out on my field on my fence line, and and the next day it was in this tall grass, and the next day it was cut open,
Hmm.
and all the innards were gone. I go, what was this? That's nothing could do that. And that started my 11 and a half years of investigation with at least 1 to 3 cameras out, over 100,000 pictures of paranormal activity on my computer, many experiments, and the weird things that I've experienced. I've seen it 3 times on my property, or right next to my property, and it's been a very unusual ride for me. But I've endorsed it and accepted it, and tried to do the best I could with the scientific approach and with the experiments that I've conducted.
So what have you seen? Could you describe that for our listeners? What have you seen on your property?
Sure. I've seen it 3 times. In May 5th of 2017, I when I pulled out of my driveway. It was 10:30 at night, and I pulled out of my driveway to go into Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and to go to Walmart. And 200 feet down the road, when I turned on my driveway, right next to the road, 3 feet off the ground, were 2 extremely luminous, very radiant, orangish red eyes.
These are eyes
3
that you
feet
saw.
off the ground. Knew immediately it was not a coyote or a deer.
Okay.
Say that again.
Okay, so you saw some eyes looking at you in the night?
Yeah. Yes. 10:30 at night. 2 orangish red, very luminous red eyes. I immediately threw my brights on because I knew it was not a deer or coyote. They're yellow to yellowish green. Then it went down the embankment as I was accelerating and threw my brights on. Went down the embankment, and the embankment's 4.5 feet deep. Now on May 5th, the grass was a foot tall on top. So that's 5.5 feet. And it, what pronoun, is looking over the top at me with these orangish red eyes. And I go, whoa, okay, I know he's 6.5, 7 feet tall, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I continue to accelerate. I'm probably 80 to 100 feet from him at this point now. And I can't see any body. I should see body, you know? But all I can see is these orangish red eyes. Immediately, 15 to 20 feet out in the field, I see one orangish red eye. He turns and looks at me, and I see one orangish red eye, and then immediately again, another 15 to 20 feet, I see again one orangish red eye where he's turned his head to look at me. Now that orangish red eye out in the field, the radiance, the luminosity of that, to me appeared to be absolutely the same as when it was up by the road. So it generated its own energy. That was not a reflection from my lights out in that field. 40 feet out in the field, I'm not getting the same reflection, eye reflection, as I do when I was up by the road. But it was extremely bright, radiant out in the field, the same as it was up by the road. So it has its own ability to generate light. Now, we have some fishes that can generate light, low level light, not like this light I saw. So, and these eyes, I mean, it was just, you know, it's unbelievable. I'm just looking at it, you know, I know I just saw the Beast of Bray Road because other people have seen it and said it had red eyes.
So you're pretty sure you were just seeing one creature, or were you seeing several?
No, I was sure I seen one. The time period was so short. I mean, you know, he's next to the road. Now he's down in the embankment. Immediately he's, you know, 15, 20 feet out in the field. I mean, that was immediate. That was blink of an eye. I mean, that's probably all total of 4 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I thought 4 to 5 seconds. And So no, there was just one, and then when I went there, then the next day my son came up and we went to look for tracks, and we found these five-toed, seven-pad tracks that are nobody in the world has these tracks. No animal in the world has these tracks. I've seen them hundreds and hundreds of times. And we went the next morning and went right there where I knew it was at, and in that field, it was a harvested corn field.
So did you have I think you showed me some pictures of the tracks that you saw. Do you want to share some of those pictures so
Sure,
the
sure,
audience can see that? Go ahead.
sure. Um, let's try it right here. Photos, albums. Okay, let's see here. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay,
describe what we're looking at here.
well, this track is 3.5 inches long and 3 inches wide.
Hmm.
And I have many times measured. I have castings of this track. I have this type of track. I've seen this track hundreds and hundreds of times. And and if you look around, oh, can you did it zoom in for you?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Now if you look around the edge, you got one, two, three, four, five toes,
Uh-huh.
five toes, and then there's a center pad, and then the heel pad.
Mm-hmm.
and and this track is non-existent, and I've had many people, up to 20 people have come to my farm and to for a showing, or to I have people come and I have a show for them to go through pictures, and then we go out and look for tracks and stuff. I've seen this track hundreds and hundreds of times, and the track experts will say does not exist. Does not exist. No animal, especially canid, has ever had a five-toed center pad and a heel pad. It's a five-toed, seven-pad track, and you can see the toenail in one. Sometimes you can see the toenails a little better, but they say it doesn't exist. Now, we contacted in Chicago. There's the Natural History Museum, and my
Mm-hmm.
brother contacted them for their track expert. Okay, and they said, well, he was a track expert. The gentleman in Montana is one of the best in the world. So we contacted him, and I sent him this picture. Now, I'm going to show you what he sent back, and then we'll talk about that, okay?
Okay, fine.
Okay. Okay, here's what he
Okay.
sent back. Okay,
Okay.
now he says there's a blue animal going at 12 o'clock. There's a blue animal going at 12 o'clock. And then another, it's not a double hit. Because everybody, oh, it's a double hit. He says, oh, no, it's not a double hit from the same animal. Would not create that, he said. He said another animal crossed it at about 2 o'clock.
Hmm.
The orange is the second animal that stepped on the first animal's track, is what he's telling me.
So he's
Now,
telling you there's more than one. You got more than one of these creatures, correct?
no, he's saying this is not a creature. This is two coyotes that crossed each other, or a wolf and a coyote, where
Oh,
the
okay.
second dog or dogs crossed the first one. Well, I've
Hmm.
tracked this I've tracked this a half a mile. I've seen this track. I'll show you other pictures of this track. And look at his orange. Look at his orange animal. If you could see that, he has a heel pad where there's no divot there. There's no pressure there.
Hmm.
And look at his blue animal. He has three toes on the left side, and then the right side there's a one toe way off to the side. Well, that's not any type of dog or a wolf or coyote. He made this up because he said, Lee, there's no animal that has this track, five-toed seven-pad track. And I go, well, I've seen it hundreds of times. And he said, well, I'm glad I'm able to help you. Well, so I've
Not much
tracked this.
help.
No, I've tracked it, like I say, half a mile more, and I've seen it track hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. It's a
So
singular track.
let me ask this question, Lee. So the tracks are kind of interesting, but have you actually seen the creature beside the first time you saw it with the eye shine? Have you actually seen this creature during the daylight hours?
Yes,
Tell
I've
me
seen it.
what you saw.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, but tracks are facts. So tracks are facts. So,
Okay.
uh, okay. And reason I want to show you this is because when my son and I went over to the location where I had seen the red eyes the night before, these five-toed, seven-pad tracks were in right there, right in that area. The only tracks there were some of these five-toed, seven-pad tracks. So what I saw made those tracks,
Hmm.
and it's not a coyote or a deer or a bear or anything like that. It's a cryptid animal or animal that has that is in an area. All my neighbors have seen it. Okay, now the second time I saw the creature was on May 11th, 2021. And I drove to the end of my field and and was checking cameras May 11th, 2021. And I drove to the end of my field, the west end of my field, which is the closest one to Bray Road. And I was going to get out of the truck to change an SD card on the camera. I looked over at my neighbor's field, and there, right there, quarter mile away, 0.22 of a mile away, was the creature. I knew right away because he doesn't have a big stump out in the middle of his cornfield or in the middle of his bean field that time. He had beans planted there.
Okay.
and I go, whoa, okay, I'm looking at the creature. I know I am. So I use my iPhone 11, which I'm using right now, this iPhone 11. I started taking pictures with of the creature of that thing I was looking at. Now, when I was looking at it, it looked like it was crouched down, and then it stood up and moved crouch in a crouch position. It moved a distance. Then it stood up into bipedal walking and walked west from me, straight away from me west, and headed towards the woods that is in that location. And then it dropped down to all four about a short distance from the woods. And people have seen it do this, dropped down to all four and went into the woods. And I took pictures with this iPhone 11. Now, people say, why didn't you take video? Well, video with the iPhone 11 is 8 megapixels. With it's 20 megapixels with a picture. So I wanted to get as clear a photo as I could, not just a brown, brown, less pixels. So I use pictures, and I took a series of pictures, and they show exactly what I was looking at. They show it's crouched down, and it moved in that crouch position. That stood up on all four, or on two. I stood up on the bipedal position, then it dropped down to all four and went into the woods. Now I have a individual who was a cameraman in California. Now he works in Chicago, and he contacted me 4 or 5 years ago, probably maybe longer than that, 6, 7 years ago, and said he was interested in cryptids and stuff. And he said if I have any
Hmm.
pictures that I would like for him to look at, that he would analyze or give me information about those pictures, because I have lights and I have all light pictures and orb pictures and creature pictures and stuff. So I sent him the picture of it. I told him I had this, I'd taken pictures with my iPhone. And he said, Lee, he said, I have an app that will tell you the exact size of that creature, uh, taking into account the focal length. And he said, I just key in iPhone and 11. He said, oh yeah, no, I can tell you exactly how tall it is and how big it is. So I said, oh, great. And so I sent that picture to him, the picture of it where it's bipedal on two legs walking away from me. And the computer app came back and said, the creature, that figure is 6.5 to 7 feet tall, and the shoulders are 3.5 feet wide.
Wow.
Now
So
that's computer.
Can you show us that picture, Lee?
I'm reserving that. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Um, I am working on right now with yeah. I'm sorry. I'm working with a uh, several documentary producer, and I'm also working with
right.
another producer for a TV show.
Okay,
And so
understood.
those are in there. And I mean, the dollars they talk about when they looked at that picture, they said, okay, we can talk about this, this. So, but so I am reserving some of those pictures,
And I understand that. So could you just
yeah.
describe physically what you saw,
Well,
what
I
you
mean,
took the picture of?
it looked like I looked like Shaq. I mean, I've never seen Shaq in person.
You're
I've
talking
been
about
to
Shaquille O'Neal?
Shaquille O'Neal, yeah. I mean, it was huge. I knew it was huge because I knew it was at least a quarter mile away. Well, it was 0.22, 22 hundredths of a mile away, but it was huge. I knew it was, and and the interesting part is where it was crouched down. Well, I called my brother and I said, "Okay, I just saw the creature, and I want to go over there and look for tracks." You know, and he said, "Okay." I said, "Stay on the phone, and I'm going to walk over there right where he went in the woods, and let's look for tracks." And so I did. Of course, I told him. I said, "Hey, if this thing comes out, just call the coroner, and I'll be, Wisconsin. I'll be Wisconsin folklore because I know how huge this thing is, and I know how sharp it has nails. Its front feet have long nails, and so I walked over there and was talking to it and say, okay, come on out, let's visit and have some tea and stuff. But when I went there, then here were the same tracks. The large 5-toed 7-pad tracks were right there. The trail was going right toward the woods, right where I'd seen it. And when he was crouched down, where he was crouched down at, he drew, I don't know, with his finger or with a stick, he drew circles in the dirt. Now the dirt was very dry. It was May 11th, 2021. Hadn't rained much. It was very dry, and he drew circles in the dirt. Why would he
You're
draw
talking
circles in the dirt?
you're
For
talking
the
about
creature.
the creature now. The creature
Yeah,
drew. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Hmm,
And there were these 5-toed 7-pad tracks right there again. Only
hmm,
tracks. Well, there were some deer tracks there.
hmm.
Uh, but deer tracks don't look like this at all. I
Right.
see many deer tracks, but these were right there, and there was a trail. Yeah, and he crouched down. He was drawing circles in the dirt. So I don't know. He does the strangest things like that.
So now, just for clarification, is there more than one creature you think on
Yes,
the property?
I have. I have seen this 5-toed 7-pad track in two different sizes. One smaller size. And I have another track, which I call a fist print track. It's 4 inches by 4 inches. And I've tracked that for a half a mile. It looks like a fist print.
Hmm.
Um, and it's the weirdest track. And none of the track experts, I've sent them to some of the track experts, and they say, Lee, that's not an animal track. And I said, well, here's one here, when they're all 3 feet apart. Now, um, this the 5-toed 7-pad guy, he walks anywhere from 2 feet to 4 foot steps. He takes 4 foot steps sometime. I have
Wow.
pictures of that if you want to see them. A 4 foot step across my field. I mean, but I think I have then I have another one that I call the hyena guy. I saw him. Uh, he's smaller. I'd say I have 5 different tracks out there, which are not deer, coyote, bear, cougar tracks that have been identified. Yes.
And you would say that most of these tracks represent creatures that are like upright walking canids of some type?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. I could show you some proof on pictures of where they turn in the snow. They turn the exact right angle. Take
Wow.
4 foot steps all the way across. I don't know if you want to see those or not. You want to see the right angle one?
Yeah, sure. I've
Okay.
got a
All
little
right.
time to
Because
do it.
tracks are facts.
Yeah, they are.
All right. We'll we'll do the. I'll show you this right angle one. This is unbelievable. Oh wait, I gotta go to albums. We'll go to. I made up a album for this called Zoom Pics, so I'll try that. We'll go here, and I will go here. Okay, here we go. This is in the snow, and I'll describe it to you.
Okay.
In 2015, two of them came into my field. And can you see this one?
Yeah, sort of. It's a little blurry. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Okay. Okay. Now two of them came in
Wow.
my field. One of them made this direct 90-degree angle. See that 90-degree angle?
Yeah.
Now, if you look at that, let's say the right foot is the one at the top of the picture. And that's got to get over to the, we're going to call the leg of the triangle, to the lower middle. And look how he pulled it out. You can see the toe come out at an angle and go to that position. Now, the one that's at the vertex of the 90-degree, that's got to get all the way over to the left edge of the picture. And look how he pulled it out. He rounded that toe, that footprint, how it's rounded when he pulled it out to go over to that position to the far left of the picture. So it's an exact biological explanation of a bipedal animal making a right angle corner, which no four-legged animal can do.
No, that wouldn't be something you would expect a four-legged animal to do. So you've shown these pictures to wildlife people in Wisconsin, and they have no idea what we're talking about here?
No, I tried. I called the DNR. I've had the DNR come, and I showed him some of the 5-toed 7-pad, and we went and looked at them. He said, "Well, you have an abnormal coyote." I said, "Coyote tracks are 2 to 2.5 inches, and the DNR agent's looking at this thing is 3.5 by 3 inches." I said, "It's huge." He said, "Yeah, that's a big coyote." I go, "Well, it's not a wolf, is it?" He said, "No, you got an abnormal coyote." And I go, "It's okay. It's not. It's got 5-toed 7 pads." He goes, "Yeah, that's not right. That's not right." Okay. And then he said, "Lee," he said, "Look it." He said, "We're DNR. We work with DNR, hunting regulations, and we
Right.
work with unwanted animals. We work with animals that are in the wrong place and, in houses or whatever." He said, "The nuisance animals. We don't have anything for this. So we have nothing that can, nobody that would even be interested in looking at these." Okay, all right, and
So
then
he'd never seen anything like this, and so he just determined that it couldn't exist. Couldn't be what you
correct,
th thought it was.
correct. That's
Interesting.
correct. Mm-hmm.
Now,
And,
do I understand that you had some paranormal investigators come on your property too? Seems like I saw that in one of your
oh,
interviews.
I've had many individuals in their life. I've there's probably 20, 25 YouTube videos, some podcasts, and Travel Channel has been there 3 times.
Wow.
Expedition X with Josh Gates.
Josh Gates, oh, right.
He did Expedition X with the Chody girl and I forgot the guy. They were there. They found 5-toed 7-pad tracks.
So what are they saying? What are the people who are interested in exploring paranormal kind of phenomena? What do they say is going on your property?
Well, it's well, the one guy, I won't name him, from Travel Channel, he said it was a bear with mange. People were seeing a bear with mange. Well, a bear with mange. Should I go back to the video so we can see each other again? We're done with this 90-degree one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
A bear with mange only lives about 1 to 2 years because they can't hibernate; they freeze to death.
All right.
And of course, they don't leave these type of tracks. and he said it was a bear with mange at the end of his conclusion. Josh Gates said it was a big wolf, and he saw the five-toed, seven-pad tracks. I mean, they make up things. They don't specify. Don't understand what they're looking at. Paranormal Declassified, that was on Travel Channel, and that was a show called Chasing Skinwalkers. And he's Paul Beeman, and he came to the conclusion that that was an unknown animal. Yes,
Hmm.
and that's on Travel Channel. It's called Paranormal Declassified. It's called Chasing Skinwalkers, and it's Paul Beeman.
What I think is interesting is that when people look at this, they can't accept an explanation of what they're seeing that that doesn't fit the normal kind of critters that might be out there. They just can't imagine that there would be something that's not an aberration of a bear or a wolf or something like that. That they're not capable of coming to that conclusion. Would that be fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. Now that right angle track that I showed you,
Yeah.
I sent that. I contacted another track expert in Massachusetts. He was given my name. I found him, and I was given his name. So I contacted him and I said I have these interesting tracks, and I would like if he could explain what made these tracks. He said any tracks in the United States, I absolutely can. I said okay. So I sent him that right angle track,
Mhm.
and he sent back. He said, "Well, Lee, you're obviously missing tracks. You're missing tracks. There's more. There's got to be more. There's got to be more tracks there." And I said, "It's in snow." He said, "Well, you're missing tracks."
But you weren't.
No, no, I'm not missing a track. No, it's right there. It's snow.
Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
no. That was his conclusion. I was missing tracks
So let me,
because he can't accept it's bipedal, two-legged.
yeah, let me use Linda Godfrey. Did you know? Now she's passed now.
Okay.
Do you know? Did you know Linda Godfrey?
Oh, very, very well. In the book called Monsters Among Us by Linda Godfrey,
Uh-huh.
I'm three chapters in that book. The publishers use the name Roy Smith, and they wouldn't use my name. I told them they could use my name, but they know that we. So I'm in her book called Monsters Among Us. She published that in 2017, and I'm Roy Smith, and I'm about three chapters in her book, and I work very closely with her. She
Tell
was
me
to my
about,
farm many times.
yeah, tell me about Linda Godfrey and what she thought was going on.
Well, Linda was a journalist. Rest in peace. Love her so much. But Linda was a journalist. She did not understand my approach. I tried to explain it to her the best I could. My experiments I've done hundreds of experiments, very unusual outcomes. Um, her thing was to write books, which excellent literary individual, and um, and to interview eyewitness reports, and that was her interest, and that was her strong point, which she did very, very well. She was, I mean, she was extremely dedicated, extremely honest, and her recording of all these eyewitness reports is extremely important. But
Hmm.
eyewitness reports, in the world of science, are pretty much invalid. We don't see with our eyes; we see with our brain. Our eyes only
Right.
let in some light with different links to them, focal links to them, and our brain interprets what we see. Well, our brain interprets based on what it has seen before,
Right.
and so eyewitness reports are very, very sketchy in the scientific world. Now, of course, in the court of law, if you have enough eyewitness reports that say, John Doe did this, I saw John Doe, I saw John Doe, I saw John Doe. If you have enough of them, and then that becomes a valid, legitimate reason to find the individual guilty. But there has to be a succession of eyewitness reports. And I would say if you went to if you put this on trial with all the eyewitness reports that are out there, you probably could successfully prove through a court situation with the eyewitness reports that the cryptid does. There is a cryptid. It is a dog man in the Elkhorn Beast on the Elkhorn area on the Beast of Bray Road. But in my mind, it's I have eyewitness reports personally, but I put more credence into what my cameras and what my experiments have shown.
Right. I used to teach sociology at the community colleges here in Washington, and I talked about an experiment that an instructor did once where he was giving a class in front of about 20 or 30 students, and all of a sudden the door opens, somebody comes in and fires a gun in the classroom, and the instructor falls over. Well, this was all staged. The guy gets
Mm-hmm.
up, he wasn't hurt. Then he started asking the students to describe the person that came in the room and shot him. They were all over the place. Some people said it was a man, some people said it was a woman, some people said they were tall, some people said they were short, different racial backgrounds. So I think that kind of proves this notion of, you know, eyewitness testimony is not very accurate in many cases. Sounds like the same thing you're talking about. Are you
Sounds like
there?
what?
Sounds like the same thing you're talking about.
Oh, Zoom. Okay, now you're back.
Okay. Anyway, so we're having
Oh,
issues
you're
here.
not back. Oh, shoot. Um,
Yeah.
can you see me?
Yeah, I can see and
Oh,
hear you.
no, okay, now you're fine. So they
Okay.
all described the person that came in differently, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which goes back to your thing about how accurate is eyewitness testimony. So you mentioned, I think, the Skinwalker Ranch, or you made a reference to
Well,
Skinwalkers.
the the one show, Paranormal Declassified, Paul Beeben, the host, that show is called Chasing Skinwalkers.
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you know about have you ever watched that show on the History Channel? Hello?
Okay, you broke up. Let me
Yeah.
try and move closer to my Wi-Fi. I don't.
I don't
Okay,
know what's
hi.
going
Yeah.
on
Okay,
there.
what
So
what was your question? I'm sorry.
have you ever watched these Hunt for the Skinwalker on the History Channel?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have something like that going on your property? Because I think I heard in some other interviews that there were other things beside these cryptids, that there were like orbs, and I don't know if you've had UFO activities, or is there a lot of weird stuff going on the property
Uh,
beside these cryptids?
Much more than Skinwalker Ranch. I have tracks. Skinwalker Ranch hasn't seen any cryptid since the dire wolf, which was like 30 years ago. I have UFOs. I have light shafts. I have orbs. I have sounds. I have audio that of howls and many things. Yeah, yeah. Um, I there was one individual that had his uh, from was on Skinwalker Ranch, and now he's on Blind Fog Ranch, and he's been to my farm 3 or 4 times, and he wow, what you have is unbelievable.
Hmm.
And I don't have 10 million, $100 million. I deal with teacher pension. So,
Yeah,
but oh no,
that's
I have orbs and lights and
yeah.
mists and smell, and many, and I've seen it. Last time I saw it was in 2023.
So what I was going to
So
suggest to you is, have you ever heard of NIDS, NIDS, the National Institute of Discovery Sciences?
sure.
Yeah, they might be interested in investigating your property. Have you ever thought of reaching out to them to see whether or
Yeah, but
not?
it's a government agency.
No, it isn't.
NIDS
No, it
is not a
isn't.
government agency.
No,
I
it's
reached out
run.
to. I reached out to MUFON, and
Yeah, MUFON is, well, MUFON, I
they
used to be a
were
field investigator for MUFON. MUFON's not the government, it's private. NIDS is run by a guy named Robert Bigelow, who bought the Skinwalker Ranch
yeah.
initially, and it's all private. He might be very interested in investigating what you've got out there. I mean, that's one idea that you could pursue. It's not the government. He's a private, very wealthy guy, but a private, it's not the government. And I don't know if you're interested in doing that or not, but he's uh, he's got a lot of resources. Did you
You
hear
broke
any
up
of,
there.
yeah,
Let me try moving closer to my Wi-Fi. Maybe I don't know. We were good.
yeah,
No,
for a
I'll be
while.
back. Let me move you a little bit. Hang on. You're
Okay.
gonna have to you're gonna have to edit this. All right, let's try another location here. All right. Can you hear me now?
I can. I've been able to hear you better than you've been able to hear me.
Okay. Um, Let me move into our bedroom here. All right. Can you hear me now?
I can. Can you hear me?
All right. Now I can hear you good now. Yeah.
Hmm.
Boy,
You know,
that lights.
I don't know how you'd feel about this, but there are a lot of breakups in this recording.
Yeah.
What would you think about trying this again sometime?
Sure. I mean, sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I hate to have you do that because I appreciate your time and all
Uh,
that, but when you have
no,
a
you.
lot of yeah, just when you have a lot of technical difficulties, that's kind of frustrating,
I
both
mean,
for you and me.
now I can hear you real well, and many times I could, and other times you couldn't. So,
Yeah.
uh,
So what did you think about this idea of NIDS, National
I'll
Institute?
have to look into it. Look
Yeah.
into the organization. I have heard of it. Um, you know, I have an individual that does help me accomplish. It does help me, and uh, I have so much data, so many experiments, and
Hmm.
and I think I've approached it very scientifically. Well, I know I have because I'm a
You're a
math
science
teacher.
guy.
I'm a
Yeah.
science guy, and I was chemistry and math in college, and so I'll look into them and see what if they could add something. Sure. Thank you.
Tell me about one of the experiments that you've done.
Oh, hundreds of them. I mean,
Just describe one of them.
um, I put out 20 roadkill deer from 2000 September 2013 until uh, June of 2016, and I would pick them up in Wisconsin, and you could pick up deer in Wisconsin during that time, and then they give you a number, and you could take them. I could take them to my farm. In 2016, the state of Wisconsin, well, Walworth County, my county that I live in up there, um, had chronic wasting disease, CWD it's called, and they did
Hmm.
not allow any more um, animals to be picked up or deer to be picked up on the road. So I did stop I couldn't do that experiment anymore. But of those 20 deer, 19 of them were, um, I'd use the term mutilated
Hmm.
and then carried away. Now, one of those deer, the coyotes ate, and those bones are still there. But the other 19 deer, and I have pictures of all of those, the other 19 deer were like the front quarter would be taken off. And I don't know if you want to see any pictures of that. The front quarter would be gone. And they that's not possible. Coyote don't take the front quarter carried away. Bear don't. They
Hmm.
eat the back end or the innards where there's more protein. And so, of all those experiments, every one was extremely unusual, and they carried away deer that were sometimes in maybe 4 or 5 days they'd carry the deer away, and sometimes maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and then the deer
Hmm.
would be carried away. So that was a series of experiments. I mean, And I put cameras all over my property. I pointed cameras straight up in the air. I put cameras, well, a 60-degree angle up into the air. And that camera, 60-degree angle up in the air, had over 6,000 false triggers. And there was nothing in it but sky.
Wow.
And I get hundreds, thousands and thousands of false triggers. But
So
people,
what,
oh,
what,
the grass is waving. Well, I said, look at this one. It's pointing straight in the sky. So tell me how the grass is waving up there or a tree is waving. So,
what do you think was causing the false triggers?
oh,
What do
I
you
don't
think?
know.
Who
I mean,
knows? Huh?
I have EMF readings. I have done many EMF experiments. I've
Okay.
done compass experiments. Um, you know, many of those. Do you know about EMF, right?
Electromagnetic fields. Yeah. I used to
Right.
be a ghost hunter. So yeah,
Okay. Okay. So what is it's did you work in milligauss or micro Tesla?
milligauss.
Milligauss. And what would be a reading in milligauss that you would look at or would be interested in?
Well, something that would be different than just what was in the background.
Okay. All right. The EMF meters at 4 milligauss, they go off. 4 milligauss is the amount that is when it starts to flash and turn red, and you should move away from the area. You know,
Yeah.
I have readings out in my field, which is a quarter mile from Bray Road, which has electrical lines on it, half mile from Bowers Road. Now, electromagnetic force dissipates at 1 over d squared. It's an inverse of distance squared. So that's a very, very fast dissipation. You you get up close to your microwave, you're an inch away, you may get 20, 30 milligauss. You move away
Hmm.
3 feet, you get 0 milligauss.
Yeah. Okay.
I have readings of 1,700
Whoa.
gauss out in my field.
Whoa.
1,200, 1,000, 1,100. And they're not, I'll go out there and I'll have 0, 0, 0. Then I'll go out and I'll go into, around the field, and all of a sudden it'll start to go off and I'll go up to, 1,000 milligauss. Well, that's there's no electrical field out there.
Hmm. What
I
would
mean,
cause that? Unknown.
no known reason.
Yeah.
It's
So,
it's implausible unless there's something that's affecting the. I've had four now, 4 different EMF meters, and they've all have done the same thing. They all, and there's no plausible reason why they could do that. And I talked with electrician, a line electrician, and he from Chicago. He was out west, and he worked on the big 500,000 volt electrical lines in Wyoming and places like that. And if the reading was below on the ground was too high, then his crew they would go up the pole or the tower, and they had to put on shielding devices. And I said, so when you're right up next to this line, what's your milligauss? He said, oh, 75. If I put my EMF meter right on the line, it's 75. And he said we could only stay up there for 15 to 20 minutes, and then we had to come back down. And if we didn't get the shield, we have to go back up again. And I said, well, I've had 1,700 out in my field. He said, and
wow.
you're still alive? I go, I go, I said, I'll show you the picture. I showed him the picture. He goes, oh, I said, no, I have no idea. I don't even know how you get that much.
Hmm.
So
So, I want to be cognizant of the amount of time that we've spent here, your time, and the fact that we've had some technical difficulties. So I know you can't. You said you don't have any pictures that you could share. Do you have any drawings of this creature or creatures that you've seen? Do you have
no,
any? Okay.
I've not made any drawings. No, I mean there's
Okay.
lots of them on. They look similar to the ones that are on. If you look on the Beast of Bray Road on Google,
Hmm.
there's quite a few on there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean it's a 7 foot tall dog man. I mean, yeah, it's
An
uh,
upright canine. That's huge.
upright canid. Yeah, and the tracks show that the tracks are canid because it has toenails.
Yeah.
Um,
Toenails.
uh,
Yeah. So I think what I'll do is will let you go for today and thank
Okay.
you for the time. I'm gonna edit this and see how it comes out with all the technical difficulties we've
Okay.
had. And
Sure.
if you're not against it, we might try to do this again. Seemed like your location in your place there, depending upon where you sat, we got better or
Hmm.
not so good
And
reception.
I agree. Now I'm about 10 feet from my Wi-Fi router, and I think
Yeah,
that's beneficial. No, it's been very enjoyable talking with you, Daniel. I enjoyed it very much, and been a real pleasure. And I'd be happy to talk with you again. Have another
yes.
conversation.
All right. Yeah, I think this is because you've definitely got some interesting things going on where you're at. So anyway, thanks for your time. And
Okay.
like I said, I'll review this, and if it looks too choppy, maybe we'll try part two. Does that
Sure.
sound good?
Sure. That's fine. And I'll set up here and closer to my router.
Okay.
It's usually work.
I'm right next to my router here,
Yeah,
so
I am
it,
now. I'm 10 feet from it now. So
yeah,
that may make a difference. Hmm.
it may. But thanks very much for your time.
Oh no,
Yeah.
you take you're more than welcome. Enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to end the meeting here
Okay.
too. And good luck with whatever's going on in your property there.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye. Take care. Thank you.